Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sir Sayed.
Sir, have you checked the word? My word.
Not exactly, I don't remember. I've checked few classes, but I can't say exactly yours in that sense. I will see it inshallah on the weekend now.
Okay, sir.
Sir Sayed Ahmed Khan. Okay, we had a lengthy intro of whole situation, Sir Sayed role and all that. So the first work or service what he did and he believed was very important for the Muslim of India, that was to improve relationship with British, to improve, establish relations with British. So in this, what did he do? We discussed already. So convincing British and convincing the Muslims, right? Do you remember what did he do in this? Hello, you got to answer me, or
Yes.
otherwise we will be taking
Yes, sir.
longer than.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so Muslims, he told them to accept British as the ruler because that's the reality, and now they are the ruler. And then he wrote a book, the Bayan Kalam, pointed out similarity between Christianity and Islam. For British, he wrote two pamphlets, The Loyal Mountain of India and The Real Causes of the War of Independence. And this significantly changed the situation and improved the relationship. Now we move towards the next most important thing, and that was educational services of Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. Educational services situation, you all know already that number one, that Hindus already adjusted to this changed environment, and they were into education and then services and all that. So Muslims had a distance with the British, and they were not interested in modern education as well. So in this point of view, you can see that in 1871, in British government jobs, higher ranks job, there were 711 Hindus as compared to only 92 Muslims. So you can well imagine that where Hindus were improving, prospering, they were into education, established good relationship, whereas Muslim kept a distance, and they were not interested in British system of education as well. They even like learning of English was called like un-Islamic and all that. So, with this background, he emphasized upon the Muslim, as we discussed last time, that his main reason why did he ask Muslim to get, so you can understand now. So, acquire modern education, and modern education then was what British introduced in India. So, British education. Is this clear? This point is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, so Syed Ahmad Khan, what did he do? This is the background. So what did he do? What services did he render in this field? How did he help them? So we will just mention some of the what we call it steps taken by him at early stages. So how did he change the situation? So first of all, I will list few things. 1859, he established a school at Muradabad. This was the in the start as we are mentioning. Then there were many other what we call steps taken by him. We will enlist few here. That what steps did he take? So 1859 a school, in 1860 number 2, 1863 he established a society known as Scientific Society. These evidence you need, so you need to then revise and be able to recall that. So Scientific Society at Ghazipur. Now, what was the purpose of this scientific society? It was to translate books. Translate books of science, medicine, etc. into Indian languages, Urdu, Hindi, etc. So the purpose was that the modern scientific knowledge could reach to the Muslim or the Indians actually into their own languages, so that will make a good learning, a quick learning for them. Is this point clear?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Then 1866, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan issued a journal, like a magazine, Aligarh Institute Gazette. Aligarh Institute Gazette. This one. Other than this, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan also in 1860, next he actually, after this, these are some of the early measures what you see in education field. Then he made a visit to England uh, in 18, we say here, I will write it this, 1869, visited England, and he personally observed Oxford and Cambridge system of education. So he studied, observed British education system, uh, personally visited, observed, and when he came back, now he established which is known as MAO school, and this was established in 1875 at Aligarh. So MAO, Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental School. Now this school was on the pattern of this modern British education system. This school was upgraded within 2 years. By 1877, it became a college. Okay, and this became a university also in 1920. Though not in Sir Syed's life, he had a wish and worked for, but it did not got approval by the British government. But finally, it was upgraded to, which is known as Aligarh University, and this Aligarh University is still even now a prestigious university working in Aligarh, India. So Aligarh University. So you can see that, and this was not just a university. Now, what was the status of Aligarh? And we call it whole Aligarh movement. This society became the center of Muslim revival in India. It provided future leadership, many of our freedom movement leaders were graduated from, and this overall created an awareness and education, separate education, etc. So this was basically, you can say, the center of the revival of Muslims in India, this university. Is it clear?
Yes.
1886, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan established Hamdan Educational Conference. Mohammedan Educational Conference, this was an organization that encouraged Muslim leaders elsewhere, because India is such a huge, territory, vast territory, and Muslim were, in different areas, in pockets. They were in center, in east, in north, in south. So this organization provided a platform to the Muslim leaders from different areas to come on one platform, interact with each other, and then carry out the Muslim revival, educational services, and other in their specific areas. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
So mainly it was to improve educational standards of Muslims around India. So that was the purpose. So this played a very important role. Sir Sayed, these are some of the what we mentioned main steps taken by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan in order to improve the educational facilities and awareness and guidance. What he believed that education was the only way forward, and these steps were taken by him. And we can see that this, though it seems like there are some steps, we can say, which were taken by him, but their effect was reaching out the other areas as well. And if you see Aligarh University, so you can see that it is still serving the people. So how influence, when you're going to measure the influence, you can see that those steps which seems at times maybe very ordinary or small one can have a big impact in future. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So this was the beginning. This was the beginning, and he actually had a beginning, a very powerful beginning, and he changed the entire. You can well imagine, you can well analyze now the situation right after the war in 1588 and 15 not 88 50, sorry 1858 or 1859, and if you compare the situation with 1877, so 20 years later, within 20 years, Muslim community now was focused on education and competing with Hindus in politics, social and economic lives. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, moving forward, political services. Though if you remember, Sir Syed advised Muslim not to be part of Hindus' political activities, but it didn't mean that they would not do anything in politics. So first of all, Sir Syed, he is considered the one who used the word two-nation theory. So you might have heard this two-nation theory. Though Sir Syed initially worked for though he focused on Muslim, but he did not differentiate, and he worked overall for the improvement of the Indian and Muslim as well. But later on, he realized and believed, and this was the same common tendency, same common pattern. If you see that even Qaeda-Azam initially worked in Congress, and then he believed that Hindus were unfair too. Allama Iqbal had a very global and Indian view and focused then on Muslims. So there had been a tendency, a pattern, where Muslims, they believed that they could work together, but later because of Hindus' attitude, they had to change, and then they focus more on Muslims. Is this point clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
Sir Syed also, at the end, he became the great. He was the one who actually postulated, uh, propagated this theory that Muslims are a separate nation. So two-nation theory simply says that in India there are many nations, but amongst them there are two major nations, Hindu and Muslim, and Muslims are a separate nation. So simple as this: Muslims are a separate nation. This actually is the foundation of everything we will discuss, or what happened later on. So Muslims are a separate nation. If Muslims associated themselves with the Hindus and others, and if all the Indians had a feeling of nationalism or unity, I believe in the first place British would not able to colonize them. It was this very thing, that there was no sense, feeling of nationalism. India was divided, Indians were divided. So, despite the fact that Muslim ruled for centuries, they've been living together, but there was no feeling or mingling, mixing, and becoming our nation at the end, that they should say all Indians are our nation. Do you understand this point?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So Muslim differentiated themselves. They said our culture, values, religion, way of life, thinking, we are different. For a nation, you need to have some common grounds. Then the individual people become a nation. You know this thing, nation concept? That a group of people living together have a certain, area, territory where they live, and they are good enough in number, and they have something in common, and they look for something in common, so that group of people can be called a nation, that they are a nation. Do you understand that? Now, Hindus, Muslims, Sikh, Christian, they were all living together for thousands of years. Muslim differentiated themselves. They were never able to mingle, mix with them, and then they could say like, okay, like we are a bit different, but we are one people. No, they said no. So this is two nation theory. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And the it's actually kind of unnatural for Muslims and Hinduism, what is practiced Hinduism, both these communities, to be able to live, or to claim that they can live in harmony as a nation. It's unnatural, because there are stark differences, there are fundamental differences. When you are slaughtering the cow, and your other countryman living next to you comes up with that, it's a sacred animal, you can't even touch it, how could you be a nation? Do you understand the point?
Yes, sir.
And even in modern India, what is so called modern India, because Modi took India back 100 years, or even, you know even what we say, more than 100 years. Even in a post independence India, after independence, when they had a secular constitution and they gave right to every faith, and it was so in the middle 50s, 60s, 70s, etc. Things were fine, better comparatively, but there was every chance that the nationalists, the fundamentalists, the extremists, Hindus who are in majority going to take over, and that's what happened. And that is what Hindus now believe, that they have first time their representative government in this BJP Modi's government, which is actually championing the cause of Hindus nationalism. So you gone with that concept that they could be one nation in India. So many of lynching, cow lynching incidents, I don't know exact number, but many of them were reported in last 7-8 years in India. You might be knowing this thing. So cutting it short, Hindus, Muslim, two different nations. So Syed Ahmed Khan propagated this and believed this, a Muslim or a separate nation. And this separate nation concept, you keep in mind that this is going to be the solid, the only foundation on which we will be moving forward. Our entire struggle for freedom in Pakistan was based upon this very factor, that we are a separate nation. So, what should we do? What do we stand for? What should we look for? How can we protect our we the Muslim? Then the concentration, the focus point was the Muslim. So this is basically going to play this concept. You should keep in mind that when we're talking about the Muslim, we are talking of a different people in a big piece of land living amongst the other, and here in this change situation they are looking for their future. Do you understand the concept?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is one of his major political service, two nation theory. India live two nation, Muslim or a separate nation, simple as this. Then in 1867, Hindus started a campaign which is known as Hindi Urdu controversy. What was Hindi Urdu controversy? They started a campaign because British introduced in 1835 English as a first language and Urdu was the second language. Do you understand this? 1835, they introduced English as the first official language of India, replacing Persian. And Urdu was the second language. Now they campaigned Urdu to be replaced with Hindi. And this was like a shocking thing for Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, and also changing his views as well. Because he didn't believe that this is going to happen. Hindus would go to this extent that even they would uh, you know what we say, uh, they would associate Urdu as the language of the Muslims. So there is no language what we can call Muslim or Islamic or un-Islamic language. A language is a language. So he didn't believe that Hindu would consider this, associate this language with Muslim, and they will go for Hindi. So Hindi Urdu controversy. So he defended Urdu, and he believed that Urdu was the language of the Indians. So this was his another political service, Hindi Urdu controversy, defending this. Now, 1885. Are you following me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
1885, Indian National Congress was established. It was a political party. And why was this established? Because British introduced a limited, in a limited scale, like a small scale, limited scale, democratic system in India. That the councils, basic council would be elected. Obviously, for this political, whatever the limited scale democracy they introduce in India, that council at provincial level and center level would be, some people would be Indians and they would be elected by the Indian, and they gave a right of vote not to all Indian, few Indian. So this was like a kind of experimental initial stage. Like if in a province, let's suppose this is Punjab, and there are, let's suppose we are supposing this. So in Punjab there are 100 people living. So they said we will have a council for Punjab, assembly as we call it now, assembly for Punjab, elected assembly, in which we will have, let's suppose it's 100 people, so we will have 10 members assembly, in which we will have 5 members or 6 members. We will nominate. Majority will say, okay, you, whosoever they want, and 3 or 4 people will also be elected by the population, by the people, Punjab. So this is how they introduce the limited scale democracy in India. And for that, they gave a right of vote to, out of 100, they gave a right to 20 people. 20 people can vote, 80 people no. You are not educated, your social status is low, and they gave 20 people right to vote, and those 20 people like would elect those 3 4 people. So this was the voter and these were the people. So this is how limited scale democracy was introduced in India initially, and for that matter political party was needed, obviously a part of process. So Congress, Indian National Congress, was established. Now this party was to protect the rights of the Indians. Now again, a different concept of different nations emerged. This party became only Hindu dominant party because Hindus were in majority. So they talk of Hindus always, not of others. So Indian National Congress, when demanded what they demand, they said that right of vote to be given to everyone. So they said that there should be a joint electorate system. How much time is left?
5 minutes.
Sir,
Sir,
six
Okay,
6 minutes.
minutes.
okay. We have okay. Joint electorate system. It is very simple. The system we have today, that in any area, from this area, you have to elect 2 people. So everybody who is eligible will vote, and these 2 people will be elected. So this is majority rule actually. Democracy is majority rule, right?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes.
know, anyone who wins, what wins majority, and they form the government. And here in case of India, they ask for, Congress asks for majority rule, which mean Hindus rule actually, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So Sir Syed Khan opposed it. He said, like, look, it is okay, democratic principle, Western democracy says majority rule, but our case is little different. If you understand, you are not the only one here. We Muslim, we are not you. We are a separate nation. So this is entire different thing. This is not a one country. This is not a one nation. So that you elect and become the ruler. This is a different case. We are two nations, and we want something for our own protection. So he opposed their joint electorate system, majority rule. So what was the alternative system was separate. Separate electorate system is when, if this 2 people to be elected, let's suppose 3 people to be elected, and in this area there were like these 30% Muslim are living, and rest this are Hindus. So according to the population, 2 seats will go to Hindu and 1 seat will go to Muslim, and Muslim will elect Muslim and Hindu will elect Hindus. So by this means, separate electorate, he meant that Muslim will be able to secure number of seats in any council according to their population. Is this concept clear?
Yes, sir.
So in a joint electorate, it is considered that whole population is one people, one nation, and they elect Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. Z, Mr. A, B, Z coming from Hindu or Muslim or non-Muslim or whatever, no problem. Like in West, you see in UK, assembly there are in the last election, There were, I think, 20 plus people who were from Pakistani background. You understand this?
Yes, sir.
So they got elected, though they are the citizen over there. But now after that, there is no question that who is coming from where. Everybody who is the national is the citizen, and they consider themselves as British national. That is simple. So over there they don't compare. Look, I come from Pakistan, so I'm a different person. You understand? We are a different people. Do you understand this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so separate electorate. So Sir Syed Ahmed Khan opposed this system. He said, no, this is Western democracy, not applicable to India. Secondly, they asked for competitive exam. Now, what is competitive exam? For jobs. You know that high rank post or even other post, there is a kind of exam. Do you know this thing?
No, sir.
Like if you, why? It's a very common sense thing. Now, if government announce some posts, some jobs, what do you think? Anyone who reaches there first will get the job? First come, first serve? Is it
No,
like
sir.
this?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, sir.
Yeah. So there is a process. You apply, and they will say, okay, fine. We have got like there are 100 posts. We have got 1,000 applications. Now on such and such day there will be a test, a written test. Okay, fine. 1,000 people read there. They attempted the test. 200 got passed. They say, fine. We have 100 posts. We have 200 people. So we will have an interview, right? And they will go for an interview, and finally they post the list of the successful candidate against the posts. I think this thing, you know, right? Common sense thing.
Yes, sir.
It is like our school admission. Like if they have, let's suppose, 5 seats in grade 8, so they will announce and people will come. It is not like the one who reached first will get the admission. No, then there will be a test, and finally they will make a merit, and then you get your post place. If not, yes, whatever. This is called competitive examination. Do you understand? Through an open merit competition. So Congress sought for competitive examination. So Syed Ahmed Khan opposed this as well. Whereas this seems okay. Why did he oppose it? He opposed because he said that, look, Muslims, these Muslims, they do not have same level of facilities, education access as the other people have. So you can't test this community along with the other community. First thing you need to do is provide them equal facilities, and then you test them. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
he also said
Yes,
here
sir.
also, he also said that there should be a quota for Muslim in job as well. Fixed number of seats for Muslim in the job, and on those seats only Muslim to compete. Let's suppose if there are 10 seats, and they say, okay, three, he said, according to given to the Muslim. On these 3 seats only Muslim compete. Do you understand?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
It is
sir.
a time, just 1 minute, final thing. And then Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, in 1893, he established Mohammedan Defense Alliance. Mohammedan Defense Alliance. This was a political party, you can say, a platform uh, through which Muslim could voice for their rights, because Congress was totally unfair and they were asking whatever benefiting the majority. So he established this. He opposed all of Congress demands, and then he established Mohammedan Defense Alliance. And this Mohammedan Defense Alliance, 1906, this thing was upgraded to Muslim League, All Indian Muslim League, a proper formal political party of the Muslim League, which struggled for the cause of the Muslim and finally got us in 47 Pakistan. Do you know this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is how Sir Syed Ahmad Khan served the community, and this is what was his impact. You can see that he actually, in every sector, from education, social, politics, etc., he helped Muslim. He laid the foundation. He was the first step towards what we had in 47, and these were all very little, small scale steps which grew with the period of time, but they were in the right direction and at, at the right time, and that is also. We owe a great deal to Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, indebted to his efforts, his services. So he was a great person who served the Muslim community. So we owe a great deal to him, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So from the founder of two nation theory to making people aware of establishing good relationship with the British and then forcing on them to get education and compete with Hindus and then politically guiding them. So he did everything what could have been done, and that speaks of the potential of even an individual when we say what can I do and what is the value of uh, this thing what I'm going to do or I'm able to do. So never think of this, just whatever is the capacity wherever you are, whatever good you can do. Good has its own worth. It is not the scale, it is not the magnitude, it is only that it should be the right thing in the right direction, and that is all. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
so you can have your break now.
Yes, sir.
Read from notes and from book and compile your notes with you. This is your work. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Allah
Yes.
Hafiz, Allah Hafiz, take care.
Allah Hafiz,
Allah
sir.
Hafiz, sir.
Yes, sir.
Allah
Okay,
Hafiz, everyone.
sir. Sir,
Allah.
sir, have a good weekend.
You too, why every one of you. Thank you.